Hey everybody, it's Matt here. Welcome to another episode of Did I Get What I Ordered? In this episode, we're actually going to be taking a look at some pickups that I got directly from John. Now, if you don't know John, he's actually a friend of mine who's been on the channel before, and he also has his own channel that I do edit videos for as well. I will be linking it down below. We update every now and again. But point is, though, is that when it comes to these games that are going to be featured in this video today, John was sitting back and was like, I don't really know if I want these games in my collection anymore. Not that he just doesn't like them or anything, but he was just like, I don't know if I want these games in particular anymore. So he was like, I don't know who else would want these games. And then I immediately swooped in, just kind of came out of the shadows like, I would like these games. And so we ended up talking about it, ended up hanging out, and so I took these games home and I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to make a video about these. But when it comes to did I get what I ordered, usually a lot of these are based on stuff that I got within like the last year or so, and this is no exception, particularly in the or so categories. I got these a little over a year ago from him, and so I thought about it and I was like, you know what, I've had John on the channel before, so a little bit later on in the video, after checking out what these games are, checking out if they even work, we're going to bring him on and ask him why these games. Well, let's actually see what these games are right now. So as you can see here, it's a pretty big stack of games, so I'm going to try to go through these rather quickly so that we're not sitting here forever. So the first game is Fatal Fury Battle Archives, Volume 1. So this game comes with the manual, thanks John, also the game, which, yeah, thanks John. That one was kind of expected. Also, we can see all the games included in this collection, and of course, being Volume 1, there is a Volume 2. Now looking at the back of the disc, the game does look iffy, but thankfully it does work. However, there was an issue when recording footage, so even though we can see the menu in front of us right here, for some reason the gameplay footage wasn't recorded. I could see it on my monitor while I was playing it, but it doesn't show up in the recording at all. I assume it's because of different aspect ratios and whatnot, and the Elgato doesn't really know how to capture that, but still sad to see nonetheless. And the next game is Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2. So yes, John had both games. Thankfully, this one also comes with a manual, and again, the disc. Again, thank you, John. I don't know too much about the Fatal Fury series, but I'm happy that I can get into it via these two collections. Opening this up, by the way, it's weird that there's no memory card holder. Usually there is, but it's an official PlayStation case because you can see the Sony logo up there. And turning the disc around, it looks, again, kinda iffy. But thankfully, though, just like the first volume, it does work. Although, again, it has the same issue with recording gameplay. But hey, you know what? It works. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, the next one is My Japanese Coach. And remember, this is before Duolingo. Now, am I going to become fluent in Japanese? Probably not. But I'm sure this is an okay way to, at the very least, learn the basics. And the game does work, so again, I'll probably be able to learn at the very least the very basics. Yes, by the way, I am using my modded 3DS, not modded via software mod, but hardware mod to capture gameplay footage. That woman could have just worn a t-shirt. People in Japan wear t-shirts. The New York Times crosswords. Yeah, I'm going to ask John about this one. But hey, free manual, free game. It does work, and it is, in fact, the New York Times crosswords. This is the kind of game that goes to show you how popular handhelds are and how popular the DS was. Very much like the Game Boy was with Tetris, you have stuff like this come out. Not saying this was as big as Tetris, mind you, but still, I'm just kind of perplexed. Hotel Dusk. Room 215. Now this is a game that I've wanted to check out for a long time, but I just never had the time. Also, of course, didn't have the game. Now that I have at least one of those two things, and of course this manual right here, I'm pretty hyped. But let's also see if this works. It works! Also, look at how amazing this looks. Oh my god, this is gorgeous. Also, yes, I had to flip the screen because this is actually meant to be looked at as kind of like a storybook, and it's just this world looks fantastic. I love when video games get more stylized than realistic. Not at the time, I know, but just, this is just beautiful. And next up is Tekken Tag Tournament. I freaking love Tekken. Now, I haven't kept up with the series after Tekken 5, so I do want to end up checking out 6 and 7 eventually. I'm trying to do a little bit of a playthrough through Tekken, but the original Tekken. Look, it hurts, okay? If you ask me about the first 3 Tekken games, about how great all 3 of them are, I tell you, yep, 2 great games. Anyway, point is, not the time I know, point is that I never had the chance to play Tekken Tag Tournament. Saw it in a Blockbuster video, and I thought, oh, it would be so cool to rent this and play this, but just never had the chance to do so because I was a kid at the time. So having this now, thank you, John, so much for the fact that I have this now with the manual, with, of course, the game. The game on the back looks It definitely looks like it's been buffed out or something, but anyway, let's see if this game actually works. This game actually works. Boy howdy, I can't wait to suck at a new video game. Wait, hold on, I'm doing okay. And the next one is GTA 3, which I wouldn't have expected John to have, but honestly, when you look at how popular GTA was back in the day, I'm not saying it isn't now, I'm just saying that it was huge on the PS2, and it was definitely, from what I remember, an early launch title, or at least very close to the release, that you look at something like GTA 3, by the way, it sold so well that I'm sure John got it, maybe used or something like that for cheap, but still, when you look at how popular the series was, makes sense that he would have it, but what I did not expect was this poster. Now, John keeps things in good condition, but still I assumed he would have gotten it used, not gotten something like this, but no, it has the poster, which I will be showing off right now as I am ranting, just to show more of the poster. How's everything going with you? Tell me down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Poster, cool. No, but in all seriousness, I would not have expected this to be with this game, and of course the manual itself and, the game, which is actually in the worst condition we've seen a game in so far, but hey, we'll find out if it works. It looks like it works. There is a part of me that kind of wants to go down memory lane and play this game again, but I never actually beat this game because the last mission was a timed mission, and I hate timed missions. Couldn't beat it. Timed missions are the worst. Never touching this game again, probably. Maybe, actually, no, that's not fair. I'm going to use some fun little cheats and whatnot, see what cool cheats are available for GTA 3, become like a tank dragon or some shit. That'll be fun, but generally, though, probably won't be touching the story in this game ever again. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, another game that I would not have expected John to have, and it's a bit more confusing because it wasn't a launch title or anywhere near a launch title, so shocked that he has it, but still if he had the third one, the first one for the PS2, not shocking that he had this one. Both are great games, and when it comes to this one though, I didn't get into it as far. I got pretty far, but not as far, if I remember correctly, as as Grand Theft Auto 3, but would be interesting to try to check it out again. Again, throw a massive, that's what it was, the cheats took me away from the story, as they usually do with these games, at least with the Grand Theft Auto games. But still, really happy to have it in the collection because I don't think I've ever had it. I think it was either we rented it, or if we did have it, it's over at my dad's house. So it's nice to actually look at this game and finally call it my own, and also, we have the manual as well, which is pretty freaking cool. What's not pretty freaking cool is the back of this disc. It does not look that good. Again, I'm assuming John got this one used. Let's see if it works. So thankfully it does work. Although what does not work is me riding a bicycle. That is never a good thing. I actually can't ride a bike in real life. And as you can see here, I've transferred those non-skills into video game form. This is one that I'm really excited for. John had Time Splitters 2. I am so excited for this one. I think I only played the series on the GameCube, but still, I loved playing this game as a kid. So happy to have it in the collection. Can't wait to open this thing up. What in the flying fuck is this? Holy shit, what the fuck? I should have taken the hint that something was amiss, because look at the front of this case. What is going on here? So, looking at the disc again, I don't want to look at it too close. If you need to put your hand over your face, you can. I don't know what this is. There's a part of me that wants to know what it is, and there's an even deeper, stronger, kind of like a primal urge part of me that never wants to know what this is. I fucking hate all of this. Now, no manual was included, but I can assure you I don't give a shit. This game, I'm going to safely assume it doesn't work. The back of it looks kind of okay though, but I'm going to safely assume it doesn't work. However, we don't play it safe here. Let me go against my better judgment and put this thing into my top loader. It's okay, it's a top loader, PS2. And then I will bleach the thing, and I will disinfect it with fire afterwards. So this is super weird. So the game does work, and I've played it for like 40 minutes, and I've run into no issues whatsoever. Now, I'm assuming eventually there will be issues, but as of right now, this is a working game, and I'm going to see how in the hell I can clean this game, preferably in a hazmat suit. Haha, so let's move on from that traumatic experience. Now making their way to the ring, Rumble Roses! So unlike GTA 3 and San Andreas, I know exactly why John had this game. John, at the time, I believe, was in college? Yeah, I know exactly why he had this game. Now, what's interesting is sadly, this yellow sticker here is actually under the plastic, which means that yes, it is on the artwork itself. Thanks, GameStop. Now, this game looks amazing, plays fantastic. Opening this thing up, we can see that there is a manual as well, and it's not shy about what it's trying to do. I do have to say though, and you're gonna make fun of me for this, okay? You're gonna tell me, oh haha, it's about the plot. Look, I'm being serious here. As a pro wrestling fan, these character designs are really freaking cool. What is not really freaking cool though is the back of the disc. It does not look that good. We're gonna see though if it does work. Okay, so here's something absurd. So after playing this game, I actually really like it. And I know, again, you're going to be like, oh, no. Here's the interesting thing. It plays like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, also on the PS2 as well. And that's not an accident. Yuke's actually developed this game, even though, yes, it was published by Konami, interestingly enough, it was actually developed by Yuke's. So this is basically SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, but under a very different skin. And the last game we're taking a look at before we get John on the line to defend his sins, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. So I don't know too much about the Castlevania series. I don't really own a lot of them. I literally own 2, this being the second one that I own. Physically, to be fair. Digitally, I have gotten more throughout the years, but I still really haven't had the time to sit down and play them. So outside of the first one, is this a good place to start the series? Please comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And by the way, the fact that this comes with not a full color manual, to be fair, as I'm going through it, but a manual nonetheless is still pretty cool. Thank you, John. The game, by the way, does work, which I'm really happy about, and I've enjoyed the little bit that I've played so far, but again, I'm just wondering both gameplay-wise and chronologically if this is the best place to start. And I'm with the man himself, John!
Hail and well met, fellow gamer.
The fuck? That's okay. That's how we're gonna open this. So, John, you gave me these very interesting games, this rather interesting list of games, and I want to know that, you know, as someone who has games like, you know, from the Persona franchise, who's a fan of you know, a lot of the Final Fantasy RPGs and whatnot, why these games in particular? And we're gonna go down the list. So wait a sec, John, but just generally, I really wanted to hear these, especially some of these, especially from your mouth specifically. So let's actually go through this. I feel like this is like this is your life. That's what this feels like. Just this is your life segment. So.
Am I gonna die?
Not today. Not today. But John, Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 1 and 2. I think this one is rather self-explanatory. You love Street Fighter. So that's that's like why, but these in particular, are these like arcade perfect or something, or?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of, you know, of course, like, you know, fighting games, Street Fighter. Also love all the SNK. You know, so really what it was, and it was funny because by this point I already had um like perfect emulations of all of the SNK arcade games on my, you know, on my computer. The thing was I wanted to have like the collection that was nice and had like a training mode, maybe an arranged soundtrack that had like all the amenities and comforts of a home port of something, even though I already had you know, access to our, you know, the ability to play arcade perfect versions of the game.
And
So that was really it. And also,
well, another thing too, just before, I just want to jump in here. You got the, I know you normally get consoles late and you get games late. Did you get the PS2 late?
no, I got the PS2
Okay.
surprisingly, you know, fairly early on in its run. I
Huh.
remember I got it. I would say like, well, the thing is, you know what? I got it in my birthday in 2002.
Okay, so it's
Which
2 years down. It's just 2 years. It's not like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
slightly into its run because I only got a PlayStation 1 in 1999.
Yes. And
So I was just coming off of that. I'd also just gotten a Dreamcast. So like
you were
um
fine with getting
I wasn't like
the
enough.
$5 games.
Right. So I was still kind of milking a lot of the mileage out of the end of the PS1's life, you know, lifespan, and having its, having all of its games be like liquidated and be super cheap. But yeah, so I got into the PS2, I would say fairly early in its lifespan.
So then when it comes to these two games, did you get them later in the lifespan of the PS2 as well, or did you get them because I assume that these potentially might not have sold as well in the US. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm not the biggest fan of Fatal Fury. Although I took them because I want to be. I want to play them and enjoy them because but did you get these for cheap or no?
Those were already kind of budget titles anyway. I think I got them around the time that they came out, which was later in the PS2's lifespan. It was in like 2007, 2008, around there. Um, they were, and because it was kind of just like a collected ports, those tended to be priced a little bit lower, if I remember correctly. So I remember getting it for like market value, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't as much as a PS2 game, a brand new PS2 game would normally cost. And I think I got these uh used anyway, so they were a little bit cheaper.
Okay, good. So let's jump to two that I think will be very. I assume one of them will be very easy to explain. Not sure about the other. My Japanese coach.
Mhm.
Now, to this day, John is actually learning Japanese. I know you like jumped back
Yes.
into it. You got back on your bullshit. So that one is just rather simple. Oh, I get to learn Japanese on the DS. Awesome. Did you think it was good though?
Well, yeah, well, and remember, this is before like Duolingo and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I think at the time I was trying to learn Japanese with like Rosetta Stone and something else. So yeah, and like you had said, I was interested in learning Japanese. I like the idea of being able to learn it on my DS and have it be kind of gamified. Again, what Duolingo really like codified in the later years. But yeah, so that was just wanted to have like a fun, easy way to learn it. To tell you the truth, and this just goes to show how all over the map I was and how like I had trouble sticking with my studies with things, is that I don't remember using that super a lot. I think I had it and I did like some lessons. I think it was pretty good. I
For
think
its
that for
time.
for somebody starting out, for its time, it was a pretty good tool. Like I said, I think my not sticking with it was more my own lack of focus than any deficiency on the game's part. But yeah, I remember it was pretty fun. It got the job done. I don't think it's as comprehensive as like modern language learning programs like Duolingo or Babbel, which I think it's a whole other ballgame because those have like psychometricians
Well,
and like things like
yeah.
that. That
I was gonna say, I was gonna start talking about your age, but I think that aged you enough. So John is 39 years old, and I say this right before I say, why did you have the New York Times crosswords on the DS?
So here's the thing, and this is something that is, speaking of hobbies that I haven't picked up in a while. I love crossword puzzles. That's
Okay.
probably one of the most normal things about me. And yeah, that's probably the most mundanely pleasantly normal thing I've got going. But yeah, I do love crossword puzzles. Find them really relaxing. And I think at the time I was on a work schedule with I was working at a tutoring center, and I would have like on my lunch break or my dinner break, I would go and get something to eat, and I wanted to have a little something to do while I was waiting. Like it was really just something to do while I was waiting
And we
somewhere,
got to remember,
or was
at the time, this is before mobile gaming is what it is today.
right.
So, and you don't
This is
have.
before smartphones.
Yes, and you don't have emulated games on your phone either. So to have something really quick, pick up and play. Obviously, there were other DS games that could have done that as well. But even then, the DS was, I feel anyway, was definitely made more for a car ride or for a like a plane ride or something like that, a train ride. A
Right.
longer, like there are definitely some games, and one I'm gonna get to in a second, that definitely is made for longer playthroughs rather than shorter ones. That's how I feel anyway. So
Right.
when you look at something like the New York Times crosswords, it's something that I just sat back and I was like, if that's gonna go to a Goodwill and no one's gonna buy it, or it's gonna get trashed because some places they take the item in and then they just trash it if it doesn't sell. So I'm like, let me just take it. It's gonna be in a better home because obviously you did not
Yeah,
want it.
well, that's the thing is that I wanted that because I wanted it to go to somebody, just like all the games. I wanted them to go to somebody that would appreciate them because, like, that was a really fun game. I got a lot of hours of entertainment, and like you had said, it was good for short term. Like not like you're waiting at the airport or on a long car ride. You're just on a bathroom break or just are waiting at the doctor's or something like that. Like it's just a quick, you don't have a ton of time, but you just want a quick little something that you can do, that won't take long, and has a very like clear endpoint as far as when the sit down is finished. So that was I think part of the big appeal of that as well. And like I said, just gave me a chance to do some crossword puzzles. And those are actual puzzles from the New York Times from
Oh
certain
wow.
dates in the past.
Okay.
And just like with the New York Times,
Huh.
the difficulty ramps up each day. And I most of the time the Sundays were the hardest ones. Those were I think I maybe only finished like one or two of those because they were so hard. The Mondays, usually I would just do the Mondays and the Tuesdays and knock them out of the park, the easy ones. I was never it's another one of those things where I was never like super great at them, but I did enjoy them.
I love how passionate you are about this. I did not. I thought this was
Yeah.
going to be the quick one. I thought this was going to be the quick one. This is beautiful.
It's
So,
Fatal Fury, yeah, Fatal Fury, whatever, it's a fighting game. But New York Times crossword puzzles, let me tell you.
so a game that is longer though than that I really want to ask you about because this is a fantastic game and I really want to see how it like went to your radar. Hotel Dusk. I assume you haven't played much of it, but you picked it up for a reason. I assume the box art looking as stylistic as it did. Do you know anything about? Do you remember anything about this visual novel at all, and why you picked it
Oh
up?
yeah, I got that as a gift. Because and I had actually I remember I specifically asked for it because I liked and still like point and click adventures. And I had heard that from actually a few people that that was a really cool game, and like you could dust for prints by blowing into the microphone. Like there was a lot of cool different aspects to it. To tell you the truth, it's criminal how little I actually sat down and played that game. If you'll pardon the expression, I did not get very far into that at all. And really, like honest to God, I really should have because it looked like it
Well,
was awesome. I didn't don't think I got very
if you
far
ever
though.
want to play Hotel Dusk, I know a guy who has a copy, who can lend it to you.
That's true.
I
So did I. So do I,
yes,
coincidentally.
exactly. So, no, I've actually played 5 minutes of it to literally get this footage for it, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah. And that's why I said,
Oh, like it's gorgeous.
and I don't really play my DS much anymore. So like I didn't see myself playing it anytime soon, but I'm like, this is too good to just like let collect dust or like give away to Goodwill. Like I want someone who's gonna appreciate this and enjoy it to have it and actually give it a fair shake.
Yeah, no, I want to. I need to sit down and play that. I want to sit down and play that. But
Yeah. No, it looks good.
something that I also want to sit down and play because I'm a huge fan of this franchise, and I didn't know you were either until I was going through your collection with you. Tekken Tag Tournament.
Yeah, so Tekken, I'm more of a I would call myself more of a 2D fighter kind of guy, like Street Fighter, King
Yeah.
of
So
Fighters.
I was yeah. So
But I do like
I didn't know that you like were interested in Tekken at all because in my mind you're constantly Street Fighter guy, and I'm Tekken guy.
right. I mean, I'm Street Fighter all day, every day, but Tekken I do like, especially because even though I'm not the biggest like 3D fighting game gamer, a lot of my friends, including my friend Dave, I think was one that got me into it, but a few friends of mine like were big into it, and I would play it with them, probably get my ass kicked, but we had a good time, and it's fun. As far as 3D fighters go, I think Tekken is probably my favorite,
And I imagine this is a
because
game that, and I imagine specifically this game is a game that at the time probably went down in price because again, John is the ultimate thrift gamer, just getting games that are like $60 at first or 40 at first, then all of a sudden I don't know where they're like 20 or like 10, and he's like, now's the time.
yeah. Well, not the thing is, it's not even that I'm a shrewd bargain hunter. The thing is, and like with Tekken Tag, that's just because by the time I went out to get it, it like the again that was when the PS2 was on its way out, and all the games were on clearance at like GameStop and Blockbuster and things. So I got that for next to
I
nothing.
love that I'm trying to build you up, like be like he's like the ultimate bargain hunter, and John is like I procrastinate.
Oh yeah, no, my superpower is just waiting until things have been out for like a decade before I get into it. That's my power move. My power move is my power move is passiveness and procrastination.
So speaking of that's not there's no transition here. GTA 3. So why do you have GTA 3? And I say this as someone who like anyone can own Grand Theft Auto. I used to play it when I was younger, but I'm curious as to why you have Grand Theft Auto 3 and by extension San Andreas. And by the way, with all the fixins, like every little nook and cranny you got in there, you got maps and stuff. So why these two games when normally when I think of you, you are the person that says, I like RPGs. I like fighters. And like I've never seen you maybe an action adventure recently I got you into Yakuza, right? But
Mhm.
like I've never really seen you have any interest in the GTA franchise. It doesn't seem like one that you've continued with. So why on the PS2? Like, I'm curious.
So this that actually has a bit of a like, adolescent nostalgia factor to it, because the truth is, I got that was the first mature rated game that I was able to buy by
Oh
myself.
my.
I got that a few months after I turned 18, and mom and pop couldn't say anything about me going out and buying it with my own money.
But you lived with them,
And
so like you would come home with the evidence. You had to hide it. You're like, they're like, what's going on? You're
yeah.
like, nothing.
Well, no, I mean, they didn't like, and I think I got Vice City that Christmas, so it wasn't like they forbid me to play it, or were like super uncomfortable with it. But the reason that I know, and you're right in the fact that that's a little bit more like, let's just say, hardcore than I usually go. Like, I'm not the type of and the truth is, I think the big draw for me wasn't necessarily that you could do like terrible things
Drugs.
like murder innocent, like yeah,
Drugs.
oh yeah, those are bad. Those are so bad. The Dare line would not approve and would be very mad at me. But it was really just, that was the first like open sandbox type game that I became aware of. So I was more excited by the fact that you could go anywhere and do anything, and you could screw around, play around with cheat codes, just drive around, like just wandering an open world. It was really the first of that type of game that I had experienced. So I was really more in it for that aspect, you know, um, and which is why I've continued to enjoy open world games where you don't do horrible, terrible graphic things to people. But
Also, John
and the
doesn't
reason
even
why I was only
watch.
too happy
I'm
to
sorry to
own.
interrupt you, John, but he doesn't even watch horror movies. Like, this is
No,
the person. Like,
no,
that's the thing. So, John having a game with this amount of blood in it, to me, it would be like if you had like Cardinal Sin or something, like that fighting game. Do you remember?
yeah,
You're like, yeah, like
it,
you're
yeah,
not that you're like you're not the
it
person
was
who
more.
like watches or plays that kind of stuff. So but you know what, that makes a lot of sense though, because honestly, same here. As someone who had both games growing up, I was obviously younger than you at the time, but still the fact
Right.
that you could actually do anything in these worlds at certain points after, I think it was with GTA 3, I definitely cared about the story. When it came to San Andreas, I did it first, but then eventually I think I just got like a little bored with the story, and because I was younger,
Mhm.
and I just started spawning in helicopters and stuff with cheat codes.
Oh, well,
So,
that the cheat codes were really the even with GTA 3, like my friends and I after school would just, what is the most insane thing we can do with the cheat codes? Like, I think at one point we stacked, there's a code, the cheat codes basically let you spawn whatever type of vehicle you want, and
yup.
we would spawn the tank and try to stack the tank as high as we could without crashing the game. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think after a certain, you could go like up into the sky, and after a certain point, the game would crash because it couldn't like
Yes,
process
no, because it's
any
yeah,
anymore. And
that's fucking fantastic.
so that was really, I mean, and I think it was partly the open world, and it was partly the fact that at the time, that level of violence and sex and things like that in a video game, in a mainstream video game
Was
anyway, was,
taboo.
I feel like it was pretty unheard
Yeah.
of, unless you went to like specific niche games. But that was such a popular and high profile game where, like I said, you could do, and because I was 18, so it's like, oh, you can like, there's swearing and violence and blood and
Speaking
larceny and things like that. So
speaking of being 18, John, we have to move on to our next game, Rumble Roses. I
right,
thought
right.
this was Rule
Okay,
of
so
Rose, and then I learned that it wasn't real fucking quick.
no. If I if that was Rule of Rose, that would be sitting. I mean, like, you're great. I would give you the shirt off my back, but I Rule of Rose would never leave
The
my
shirt
house
off your
unless
back
unless
costs less than Rule of Rose.
right. And yeah, Rule of Rose, like I said, that's if a relative needed a kidney real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rumble Roses. I mean, why did I buy it?
Hmm.
Take a wild guess. But truth is, as I said, I was a young man. It was also, that was another one that I probably wouldn't have bought it at full price. But by the time, that was another. In fact, I think I might have gotten it on the same trip to GameStop as Tekken Tag, because that was like $6. That was like next to nothing. And it was one of those, like, I was interested to check it out because it had sexy wrestler ladies in it, and it was made by Konami.
Well,
Konami makes a
another
good
thing
game, so I
too,
knew it wasn't go.
Ukes worked on this, and they used the same engine that they used in SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, a 2003 fighting game. So I'm actually playing it, and I'm like, this feels vaguely familiar. Not because of the sexy ladies, but because I'm like, this plays like the burly dudes from. And then I had to look it up, and legit, it's the same engine that they used. So for me, as a
Yeah,
pro
that
wrestling
makes
fan,
sense.
it actually was like I was playing Here Comes the Pain again, and I love Here Comes the Pain. It's the one with Brock Lesnar on the cover on the PS2. So I was
I
like,
remember that one.
yes,
I
exactly,
remember
because
that
you
one.
vaguely know wrestling, so you at least know like some of that. So like some of that era. So yeah, it blew my mind
Yeah.
when I was like looking this up because I'm like I'm like the sexy ladies wrestle very similarly to some of my favorite wrestling games. Why? Why?
And that's the thing is it is a solid game. Honestly, like I said, it as much as it's really just there for gratuitous fan service, it actually is a pretty decent like game in its own right.
So this next game is one that's actually a big part of my childhood. I don't think it was for you though, John. I'm curious because I don't remember what your thoughts were on this because I talked to you about this like over a year ago. When it comes
Mhm.
to Time Splitters 2, where did you pick that one up? Because it looked weird. Like the disc itself looked weird. And I remember you telling me that you didn't buy it, I think. Was that what it was?
Uh, so that one, Time Splitters 2 was I think that again that might have even still had been in that same trip where I got Tekken Tag and Rumble Roses. That was another like bargain
Okay.
bin PS2. I remember there was something weird about the case or the game disc or something like that. It
Oh,
was,
but you
but
didn't
it was.
pick it up from a retail store. You picked it up, I mean, brand new. You picked it up used, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, no, I picked it up. It was like really old. Like it was in the. I remember it was actually kind of in like kind of rough shape.
It
The case when I
was.
got it.
It was.
So
I'm
I kind of
surprised
found
you
it like
bought it.
that. The other
I.
the other possibility, however, there is also the possibility that
Ooh.
um, I something happened to the original case, or I didn't get it was disc only and manual only, and I actually, but I had like I may have used another DVD case that I
It's
had
not the
and
case
like
that's the
stuck it in
problem.
there.
It's the disc. The disc has
The
some
disc.
weird, like, crust on it. And I looked at it and I was like, what the fuck? And it plays well.
Oh
It
yeah,
works. Oh, yeah, he says.
that
Oh, yeah, he
residue,
just
that
throws out.
residue.
You know, it
I
happens.
remember
Oh,
that now.
yeah. Okay, what the
The
fuck?
the nature of that residue is, as of this recording, still unknown.
what
Um,
the
the,
fuck?
I don't know what happened to that disc before I got to it, but the reason that I got Time Splitters 2 was because I was still chasing the GoldenEye high, and I had heard that basically my mentality on first person shooters, which persists to this day, is unless it's just like it's just like GoldenEye, like miss me with it. I'm not even gonna look at it. But
Right.
um, I was told this was like an air almost like a spiritual successor to Goldeneye. Like it played very similar to Goldeneye, and I was like, okay, heck yes.
And so you're on a flip
So that
phone
was
with a friend of yours in a GameStop or wherever you were, and you were like, hey man, what if it was caked in shit? And it's like, you gotta get it, bro, even if it's caked in shit.
you're
And
like,
you were
hey
like,
man,
okay.
GoldenEye 64? Well, it's that, but it's got weird sicky stuff on it. And I was like,
Time
GoldenEye,
Splitters 2.
sticky stuff,
It's in the trailer. In the trailer, there's like a little quote at the bottom. It has
time
weird sticky
goo.
stuff on it.
It, well, that's time residue. Is that that's almost like when you travel, to and from the future. Like there's a little bit of crust on you sometimes, and you know, it's time travel. You just got to deal with it.
What matters is the game works, and that's important. And
Yeah.
speaking of something, I wanted to wrap it up on this game because this is very much a game that is you, that encapsulates you. The fighting games do too, but this one definitely does as well. Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. So
Mm.
I know you're a Castlevania fan. You're not like the biggest fan, played all the games, everything like that. But I know that it was very important in your formative years with console gaming. We actually did a video on your channel for Super Castlevania 4. I say we, you did the video, I edited the video. And so when it comes to Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, why this? And why give it to me of all people when you enjoy Castlevania? So what about this game when you picked it up and also just kind of did it throw you off? Like what about it? I'm curious about, the story here.
Oh, so yeah, so Castle, I'm a Castlevania fan. Like I said, not a super fan, but I like Castlevania. Like it's a series that I'm interested in playing. I pick it up when I can. At that point, I was just starting to get into the Metroidvania style Castlevanias, and that was, I think, fairly new at the time, or it came
New to
out, or
you.
I got my
It was new to
you
you.
know new to me, and I think it was relatively new overall. Like, it was for the DS. I think I don't think that was another one that I had gotten, like, when it was still
Oh, you
on
mean the
shelves.
game
It
was
wasn't like
new?
a
Okay, I thought you
yeah.
meant the
The game
genre of Metroidvanias was new. I was
Oh,
like,
no, no,
John.
no.
Okay.
No, no, but that Portrait of Ruin was a relatively recent, release, and, yeah, because basically I wanted a Metroidvania for DS. And but now the reason why I'd given it to you, I think I'd given it to you specifically, is like I said, I don't think I ever beat it, but I got stuck, and I kind of fell off there, and I didn't see myself really getting back to it anytime soon. But I wanted to make sure, especially something like a Castlevania game, that like it really went to somebody that was going to give it a good home and take care of it and appreciate it, and I knew that you would,
And
and you'd probably get a
also,
lot more mileage.
and more importantly, John, it's not a game that's expensive because here's the thing, y'all. If he said to me, Matt, I want to get rid of one of my Persona games, I actually was sitting there with him, and you didn't say that, but I actually wanted to price them with you just in case you needed the extra scratch. I like priced them out with you because, and you have like the PSP versions, the special editions this man has. So when it comes to some of these games that you have in your collection, we made the joke before, but we were kind of serious with Rule of Rose. If you didn't want it anymore, I would not take it, or I would not take it without paying you, right? This was
In
a
all good
game.
conscience, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. This is a game that was not super expensive from what I remember seeing, and it's one of those that, like, I mean, I'm sure someone would buy this from a freaking Goodwill, but still, as someone who wants to get into Castlevania, and when you look at Castlevania collections, this one doesn't usually appear on many of those collections. So I was really happy to be able to get this from you, and I've played a little bit of it. It looks interesting, but I want to go back to some more mainstream Castlevanias before. I really have not played a lot of Castlevania, so again, when it comes to this game, I was like, you know what? If you're just literally telling me, Matt, I just don't want it anymore because it didn't really grip you the way earlier Castlevanias did. I was like, come here, come here, Portrait of Ruin, please come into my arms. So John, thank you so much for being on the channel. Also, you have your own channel as well called John's Game Room. We update that every now and again. There's definitely some episodes that I have to edit to actually put up on said channel, but that's also where we can catch you as well. And I just want to thank you again so much for being on the channel. It's always so fun to have you on and to hear what you have to say about games, especially these in particular, because I knew you had some fun, interesting stories, some that maybe some of you know as well. If any of these stories mirror your own, please comment down below. So John, love you, and I hope to see you soon.
Love you all, and see you soon. And if you do identify the crust that was on the Time Splitters game, please send in your information. We're accepting any tips that we can get at this point.
Thank you so much. We're accepting all tips. The tip line our email is underneath me right
If
now.
you have
Please,
any information,
please.
please call our Crime Stoppers hotline. Update.
Our
It was later
time,
found
our
out
our crust stoppers hotline
Crust Stoppers hotline is open 24 hours a day if you have any information, which may lead to the identification of
of
this
the
mysterious
crust.
substance.
So that was interesting to say the least. So thank you all so much for watching. If you like videos like this, then please remember to like and subscribe. I love you all. Take care, and I hope you tune in next time. So I'll see you.